Coming up on News Center 16 at 5.
The Clintons are in Indiana, and presidential hopeful Hillary Clinton is expected to stop by the Princess City to tour the AM General plant. News Center 16's Mark Peterson will have a live report.
He's one of the most polarizing figures we've seen in decades, but he's won in diverse states across the country. So what is it about Donald Trump? I talked to a group of supporters about why they say that Donald is their pick.
Plus 50 is nifty. Real Services is celebrating its 50th birthday. We'll show you how they're awarding those giving back to the community.
And a chillier day today with lots of clouds this afternoon. I'll let you know what's in store coming up.
From WNDU, your breaking news and weather authority, this is News Center 16 at 5.
Good evening, I'm Maureen McFadden.
And I'm Terry McFadden. Indiana's primary is 1 week away.
And that's close enough for the first candidate to land in our backyard, or at least she will soon.
Mark Peterson's live at the AM General plant in Mishawaka. And Mark, any sign of Hillary Clinton?
Well, I know the line for the security, for the media and the guests were running way behind. I guess we can only assume the candidate must be as well. But no signs at this point in time. She is scheduled to speak here at starting at about 6 o'clock, 5:45 or so. Of course, the Clinton camp says Indiana is the #1 state in the nation for manufacturing. What they mean is, in terms of the percentage of jobs that are dependent on it, nearly 1 in 5. Manufacturing will be the topic of today's talk. Of course, Clinton visiting 2 Indiana counties that are well known for manufacturing today, St. Joseph and Lake. By the way, St. Joseph and Lake counties, 2 counties she lost in the 2008 primary election to Barack Obama. Looks like there are about 100 seats set up here at the AM General commercial facility. Up at the front of the room, of course, they've got the MV1, the vehicle designed specifically for people in wheelchairs, disabilities, and also the Mercedes series that is made here or assembled here and only sold in China. As far as any recognizable faces, we did see former Governor Joseph Kernan. Had a chance to chat with him in the security line. We've only actually been in the building here for probably about 5 minutes. Also some Dave Thomas, the county commissioner, Bob Urbanski, a longtime party official. But again, the topic here today to be manufacturing. That's what they do here at AM General, and certainly can't wait for it to happen.
Okay, we look forward to an update. Thanks a lot, Mark.
And meantime, former President Bill Clinton campaigned for his wife in Indianapolis. He spoke to a crowd of supporters at Hillary Clinton's Indiana office. He touched on a number of topics, including how to reduce inequality in America, saying the country needs to reduce hedge funds and stop billionaires who drive profits to only shareholders and top managers. Clinton's primary opponent is Bernie Sanders. He's expected to visit IU and Purdue tomorrow. Well, he's been a polarizing figure this election, but he's dominated the headlines and the polls across the board. Our Alex Miller joins us live now. And Alex, you spoke with a group of supporters about why they're choosing Donald Trump. What did they have to say?
Well, Maryland is a diverse state economically, racially, socially. Even the industries are diverse across the state, which makes it a great example for why Donald Trump has been able to appeal to so many different groups of people. And as different as the people I spoke to were, so were their reasons for supporting him. He's known for his brash statements.
What do you think of what I said? It's fine.
And in any other year, Donald Trump's comments might have gotten him knocked off the stage. But this election year, it's different.
Trump broke the system.
Old, young, rich, poor, Republicans, and now former Democrats.
I never thought in my entire life I'd vote Republican.
Trump's broad appeal is undeniable.
No matter what happens, he opened up topics that need to be discussed.
Shannon Vingo is an economics major at the University of Maryland and supports him widely because of his economic policies. She says on campus, support for the Donald has been hush-hush.
You don't tell anyone. You can't really talk about it.
While she acknowledges she's not too crazy about Trump's personality, Vingo says she gets why he hasn't pulled any punches.
That he needs that personality to get votes, to get the media attention, or he would end up like Ben Carson, who was very quiet and respectful and didn't throw shade.
And that's okay with most of his supporters, including this legal immigrant who is supporting him.
I'd rather have that to someone who just kind of acts all politically correct all the time.
In all, each of Trump's voters believe he's legitimately concerned about America. He can't be bought, and that most importantly, the Donald is going to work for them. Now, Trump still has some high unfavorability ratings to work through. In fact, he has the highest unfavorability rating of any candidate, Democratic or Republican. Those who don't support him worry that he's either not conservative enough or that his rhetoric promotes hate instead of unity. Live in Maryland, Alex Miller, News Center 16.
All right, Alex, thanks a lot. Of course, Maryland, one of several eastern seaboard states up for grabs today in an all-important primary. Alex, thanks again. And we will see Donald Trump in the Hoosier State tomorrow, as he's expected to hold 2 events in Indianapolis. And we've also learned that Ted Cruz is coming to LaPorte this weekend. He'll hold a rally at 7:30 Central Time Sunday night at the Civic Auditorium.
The campaign trail is heating up, and with the Indiana presidential primary just a week away, recent polls by WTHR and Howey Politics Indiana are revealing which candidates are pulling the top slots. We're going to take a look now at the GOP race, and we've got Donald Trump here. Right now, he's got 37% of the vote, according to those polls. We've got Ted Cruz with 31% close, and we've got John Kasich with 22%. Whoops, excuse me. It'll give that a little more of a hit. 22% of the vote. Now, it's important to point out that this poll was taken a day or two before the Cruz-Kasich alliance, so we'll see how that affects things. And in the Democratic race, we're also going to take a look at how that came out. Hillary Clinton, the front runner, but not much of a lead. 48% over Bernie Sanders, who's really hot on her heels, with 45% of the vote. And in addition to the presidential primary, new statewide polls are also tallying up the race for Indiana Senate and this fall's governor's race. Let's turn things over to Terry for more on that.
All right, Mo, thanks a lot. In the state Senate Republican primary, it looks like Todd Young is holding a strong lead. According to the latest polls by WTHR and Howey Politics Indiana, Young stands at 43%, Marlon Stutzman of LaGrange County 31%, while 26% remain undecided. WTHR and HPI also did a poll for November's governor's race, which is turning out to be a tight one right now. Governor Pence holds the top spot with 49%, but Democratic challenger John Gregg isn't too far off. Gregg stands at 45%, 6% are undecided. And stay with News Center 16 as we continue to bring you the very latest on the Indiana primary. As always, we'll have updates on our website, WNDU.com. Well, today's definitely a different picture than yesterday. Not a bit of sun and much cooler. How's tonight looking, Mike?
Yeah, it was a big difference, especially if you lived along Lake Michigan. Temperatures even this afternoon in the low to mid 40s. For most of us, though, it's in the 50s right now, but it is nice and dry. Despite the clouds out there, we don't expect any rain as we head through this evening. However, in my hour-by-hour forecast, while we might get a peak of sun, I kind of doubt it. Most of us will just stay cloudy through the evening. Temperatures just slowly going down to about 51 degrees by 9 o'clock. More rain is coming, though. We'll track that for you and let you know when it comes your way coming up in a few minutes.
Thanks, Mike. And with temperatures warming up, we're starting to see more bugs in our homes, including one of the biggest offenders, stink bugs. News Center 16 Sean Gallagher joins me now. And Sean, it seems like we don't see these little guys until spring every year.
Yeah, that's for sure. During the winter, they like to hibernate in those cracks and crevices in your home. Then they wake up again when it's warm enough. And unfortunately, not much you can do right now to get rid of them other than maybe catching them with a paper towel and flushing them down the toilet or maybe letting them go outside. But it's good to start thinking about prevention for next year right now. So to take care of the problem, you'll want to find those points of entry from the outside and spray pesticides out there to prevent the bugs from getting in. But if you didn't do that last fall, you may see some flying around inside. Now, your instinct may be to squash these little guys when you see them, but maybe hold off on doing that.
When they are alarmed as insects, their defense mechanism is to release sort of a putrid scent. Some people say it smells like kind of cardamom or spices. I don't think it's quite that pleasant myself. It's kind of, a mix of rotting fruit and smashed bug kind of smell. So if you can picture that. So it's, you know, it's really not pleasant. But literally, you can, if you're gentle, you can pick it up in a Kleenex and just toss it back outside if that's what you'd like to do.
While these stink bugs are more of a nuisance than anything to us, they can cause major damage for farmers. They tend to feed off plant juices and can even destroy some of the farmers' crops.
And Sean, I feel like every year we're seeing more and more of these bugs.
Yeah, when I was talking to Evie from St. Joe County Park, she says that they actually made their way over here in the late 90s from Asia. So right now there really isn't a predator that we have that will tend to eat some of these bugs. Yeah, so as they get increasing every year, there are some more bugs that take care of these bugs, or these stink bugs.
Let's hope they show up fast.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, John.
A celebration at Century Center today as Real Services celebrated its 50th birthday. Since 1966, the organization has served the needs of the elderly and disadvantaged of northern Indiana. I once again had the pleasure of emceeing the event, attended by more than 800 people. The keynote speaker was former Today Show host and current CBS News anchor and New York Times bestseller Jane Pauley. Also in attendance, businesses, professionals, and individuals from the community. They were recognized for their service of helping others.
That gift of delivering a meal and making contact with someone who might be living independently but in isolation. Imagine that gift. Oh, the delivery is here. That's a human connection. But the gift of being the deliverer, I imagine that lasts, all week.
Pauley says she's very proud of her Hoosier upbringing and knows a thing or two about caregiving. She touched on how her mom was an invalid for 15 years and her father was her sole caregiver. Pauley also discussed the importance of people helping people. She says research shows that volunteering will help you feel richer and help you live longer.
I bet that was a great event. She's a lovely woman.
And a woman you've done several stories on was honored.
Yeah, congratulations to Paula Abraham. She got Caretaker of the Year. Paula is our early onset Alzheimer's, but she took care of her mother who just recently died of Alzheimer's for several years. So well-deserved, Paula. Congratulations.
And still ahead, if you didn't wear a jacket today, you may need to grab one tonight. Mike has more on tonight's chilly temperatures coming up in the Storm Team 16 forecast.
Plus, a system with gemstone colors is helping patients with memory. We'll tell you how the new program works after the break.
Here's my Storm Team 16 forecast for all of Michiana for tonight. Mostly cloudy, remaining chilly, low temperature down to 44 degrees. 7-day planning forecast, as you can see, and 59, 57 the next couple of days. So on the chilly side with a chance for rain showers tomorrow night into Thursday, partly sunny on Friday. Unfortunately, another storm system coming this way for Saturday, late Saturday especially, Saturday night and Sunday being the best chance of rain over the weekend. Temperatures kind of remaining on the cool side, but our normal high is only in the mid 60s right now, so those aren't too bad for this time of the year.
No, they're really not. Okay,
Yeah.
Mike, thanks a lot. Well, 2 thumbs up for science. A pair of University of Washington students came up with a pretty cool invention.
Yeah, they designed gloves that can translate the American Sign Language into speech. Take a look.
Hello. My name is Thomas. And this is Navid.
Now here's how it works. When a person wears the gloves, sensors in the hand and wrist measure their movements and then sends data via Bluetooth to a computer program, and the program translates them into speech. Now you won't have to lug your laptop around. Soon the technology will be available on a smartphone too. As of now, the gloves are only a prototype, which they built on a budget of $100. Thomas and Navid were recently awarded the Lemelson MIT Student Prize of $10,000.
It can be heartbreaking to see a loved one suffer from dementia, but as Anne-Marie Tiernan reports, a new program is helping people cope by reminding patients they are still a gem despite the disease.
I can't remember sometimes,
It's frustrating for Martha Weddle. She doesn't remember if her doctor told her she had dementia.
Try not to ask why.
Melinda, her only daughter, is single and says she misses the intimacy and connection with her mom.
It's just hard.
How are you today? There is help from this nursing home staff trained in the Teepa Snow GYMS model. It's designed to help better care for and understand residents. And as part of it, each resident is classified as a gym.
Perfect. She's who we would consider to be a stage 4 and now what we call an emerald. And when we call her an emerald, essentially what we're doing is we're trying to give our staff a visual cue as to how to take care of her.
So emeralds are in Martha's memory box outside her room. They're on the bulletin board and elsewhere. A constant reminder that these emerald green patients are on the go.
Kind of her thoughts are kind of on the go. One of the things that's difficult with communication of an emerald is that she can answer your question initially, but then the ability to stay on the topic or to continue that thought process is very difficult for her.
To help, staff and family are encouraged to follow the See Talk Touch approach. Make sure the senior sees you. Then introduce yourself on each encounter, and after that, touch.
She's actually become more relaxed since she's got here too. We had some behavioral issues before we came out here, and those really have basically gone away.
Those who care for these seniors urge caregivers to understand that this disease is a progression.
This is my mother, and this is my dad.
It's not going away, it's only going to get worse.
Focusing on what your loved one can do instead of what they can't
I love she's still so mobile.
makes the evolution easier to endure.
A health warning for women who work overnights. The late night work shift could increase your risk of heart disease. Researchers followed nearly 200,000 female nurses over a 24-year period. They found women who spent at least 5 years working rotating night shifts were more likely to develop heart disease than those with a more regular schedule. The risk decreased after the nurses returned to steady hours.
It turns out the U.S. Preventative Services Task Force is updating its recommendations on breastfeeding. Nursing offers health perks for both moms and babies. Infants who are breastfed are less likely to get ear infections, develop asthma, and type 2 diabetes. Also, women who breastfeed may have a lower risk of breast and ovarian cancers. Now, the task force is recognizing some mothers either choose not to breastfeed or are unable to. Instead of stating physicians should promote and support breastfeeding, the guidelines simply state doctors should support nursing moms.
Coming up, millions of Americans undergo hip replacement, and even after surgery, sometimes the pain returns.
That it does.
I was 43. I couldn't do what I wanted to do. You know, I couldn't lift things, carry things. Any extra weight was a problem.
Hear how 3D technology is helping to repair badly damaged hips next in today's Medical Moment.
The latest health news for you and your family. This is Maureen's Medical Moment.
We've seen 3D technology used for printers, artwork, and even legs and feet for animals. But now researchers have found a way to use the innovative science to repair badly damaged hips. That's in the Medical Moment. More than 2.5 million Americans are living with an artificial hip. For those with a failed hip replacement, many are either too afraid to have a revision or don't know what can be done and instead live with the pain and disability. But there is hope. Now 3D technology is helping surgeons plan and perform the surgery better than ever before. Enjoying a stroll with her son is something Joanne Karras couldn't do for years.
Every time you stepped on that side, it was a pain.
Born with a congenital hip defect, she underwent surgery at 12 months old, and she was fine until she hit her 40s.
I was 43. I couldn't do what I wanted to do. You know, I couldn't lift things, carry things. Any extra weight was a problem.
She had her hip replaced and resumed life. 22 years later, the pain was back.
And then I really started having a lot of pain, significant limping.
One leg had become noticeably shorter than the other.
Probably about 1.5 inches.
Her replacement was failing. That's when she met hip revisionist Dr. Henry Finn.
Her socket had moved into a vertical position instead of being at a 45-degree angle such as this. It had moved vertically, it was loose, and she had developed these bone defects which are seen on her model.
With little bone left, Dr. Finn used 3D printing technology to produce a replica of her hip.
You can see where there's hardware and you can see what the bone deficiencies are, but more importantly, you can actually hold the pelvis in your hands and plan for the surgery.
With the model in hand, he focused on an advanced technique.
And it makes the surgery go quicker, more reliable, and sometimes enhances the recovery for the patient.
Using a device called the cup cage construct, to reconstruct Joanne's deteriorated hip. Dr. Finn put her back on her feet again.
If you need to have it done, just do it and don't be afraid.
For Joanne, it was the right step to make. Dr. Finn says about 60,000 hip revisions are performed in the U.S. each year. He says only time will tell how long the new hips will last given this newest technology and technique. But to read the research summary for today's story, you can go to WNDU.com and click on the medical moment.
Well, a Missouri third grader was selling lemonade to help pay for his own adoption, and he's seen an amazing amount of support. Last week, the 9-year-old sold $1 lemonades and cookies while his adoptive family held a yard sale. He came up with the idea to help pay for the pricey adoption process. The family was hoping to raise $5,000. So far, between lemonades and donations, they've raised a whopping $14,000. News Center 16 at 5:30 is next with Mo. Here's a preview.